You guys remember how strong HerculesKabuterimon was back in BT4 and like when it came out with the starter deck? Well, it's back here again and stronger than ever. Alright, Digi-Egg cards, we have 4 copies of the brand new Multimon from BT15. Very simple and inheritable. End of your turn, if this Digimon has Insectoid in its trait, it may attack the opponent's Digimon. That comes in really handy because you sometimes Digivolve a lot and you pay quite a bit of cost, but being able to attack, so then you can make your turn kind of like pertain a little bit earlier, and then you actually sometimes gain a lot of memory back to retain your turn afterwards because of that, which is why this egg is very important for the deck. And yeah, it is your offensive strategy for sure that you want to play as your main one. Now, let's talk about our rookies. Of course, Multimon digivolves into Tentomon right here. Start a main phase by suspending one Digimon, which can be your own or even your opponent's. One of your Digimon with Insectoid in its traits gains extra 3000 DP until the end of your opponent's turn. That's a huge DP buff, and being able to suspend anything as a rookie just coming out at the start of the main phase from raising or even when it's present on the board to begin with is really good because then it pays off a lot. And then it has that inheritable of all turns once per turn. When this Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon by battle, you gain a memory. We're going to be seeing a lot of these kind of inheritable throughout the entire stack because that's the goal, because we want to be able to get as much advantage back as possible and memory back as much as possible for paying that much as we climb through our stack anyways. So yeah, that's the main rookie that I'm going for. But the secondary rookie that I do want to showcase that I really like, which has a lot of synergy, which is Palmon right here. Palmon from BT14 has that starter main phase effect. When your opponent's Digimon lose 2 memory when it becomes suspended until the end of the opponent's turn. And it synergizes with this deck very greatly with some of your combos. It also has that inheritable of your turn once per turn when this Digimon would Digivolve. As long as you have a green tamer in play, you can reduce the cost by 1 once per turn as well. And we do try to aim to get some green tamers out from this deck, which is Izzy mainly, and so we can climb up to the stack a little faster. Otherwise, there's also Kokuamon right here from BT10. Very simple and inheritable. Exactly what Tentomon does. You gain a memory, but you delete opponent's Digimon by battle there too. But that's it for our rookies. Now let's talk about our level 4s. I'm running 4 copies of Kabuterimon from BT15. It has that all turns when this Digimon is suspended, it isn't affected by your opponent's Digimon's effects, which is really good immunity just for being suspended. And you usually are because you try to swing over stuff. The inheritable is simple. All turns once per turn when this Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon by battle, you gain a memory. Speaking of Kabuterimon, did you guys know in BT16 Beginning Observer, we're getting a whole new support line with Tyrant Kabuterimon coming into the mix for the big bug deck, and that deck is insanely strong, making a comeback alongside with Grand Kuwagamon 2 with a Ace version. So yeah, if you guys are huge big bug fans and want to see the updated version, definitely be sure to subscribe, turn on that notification bell to stay tuned, and of course, as always, join the AVAULT Club if you want to see early deck lists before everyone else. To stay tuned, and I appreciate the support. Next, we then also have Stingmon, which does exactly the same thing when it comes to the inheritable, and sometimes I've been debating just to run more Stingmons instead, simply because of its 1 Digivolve cost, which is way more memory efficient compared to the Kabuterimon. But the main difference is that sometimes you do want to stay on board with a Kabuterimon, which does link towards your level 5 plays in the early stages games to give you a lot more benefits. So juggle between the ratios depending on what you kind of prefer overall when it comes to both of them. Then I also have 2 copies of the promo Kuwagamon here. It has a on-play and when Digivolving effect. One of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers can't unsuspend until the end of their next turn. Not even just unsuspend phase, but you completely kind of stun it out if it was suspended to begin with, which comes in clutch because its 4 cost to hard play is kind of memory efficient. If not, when you when Digivolve on it on top of it, this is also really good. And then inheritable of your turn, this Digimon gains extra 2000 DP. Does come in handy because you do want to swing over stuff and you do want to make sure you're getting DP buffs as you're playing with this particular deck too. As for the rest of the level 4s to end it off, I'm actually playing 2 copies of Togemon. I mentioned earlier I kind of like the Palmon, so the Togemon also fits very nicely because we need Tamers. Togemon has a your turn once per turn effect, which lets you play a green Tamer from your hand by suspending one of your own other Digimon, and you get to reduce that play cost by 3, so then you can effectively play your Izzies effectively for much lower cost, which is really good value overall. And the inheritable does exactly the same as Palmon because once you establish your tamer, you get to Digivolve up your stack with reduced cost for that kind of offensive playstyle as you go into your combos too, which is always really nice.
Wave 2 is here. We got 2 new products. You guys love the first series Cyberzone so much, we decided to make some new color variations just for you. We also have a brand new design for the winter season, where we have our second series, Winter Zero. And this time, it comes with different colorways right off the bat. The new drops are now live on the AVAULT store right away for pre-order, so be sure to check it out. Both new drops have single and 2-player versions as well.
Now that's it for level 4s. Let's talk about our level 5s. Of course, we have the brand new Mega Kabuterimon Ace from BT15. This guy is a hand counterblast Digivolve as per usual for free, and top of any like level 4 green Digimon. On play, when Digivolving, one of your Digimon gets extra 3000 DP until the end of your opponent's turn, and if their Digimon is attacking, you can switch the attack target to this particular Digimon. Now, I believe you can switch the attack target regardless if this guy is suspended or not, but if it is suspended, it has that all turns effects exactly the same as Kabuterimon. It is unaffected by your opponent's Digimon effects, and that's a really strong immunity, which makes it difficult for some sort of decks to really overcome, because then once you redirect the attack, they're running into at least a 10k body, which you can surprise them. It's almost like a pseudo blocker, and by redirecting the attack, you know, you might be able to crush the opponent as Digimon that was attacking to begin with. So really fantastic card. That's your main hand trap ace of the deck as well. Then we also have 3 copies of the older Mega Kabuterimon right here. It has a simple effect of when attacking, it can digivolve into a insectoid or ancient insect from your hands for its digivolution cost. So it's kind of like an X antibody type of thing. You can attack into something first and then digivolve into it while at the same time. So then you can get a lot of effects, which is kind of neat. And then it has that inheritable. When this Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon by battle and survives, you gain a memory, not once per turn, which is always fantastic. So if you can swing multiple times, somehow unsuspend as well at the same time, comes in handy, so you can gain a lot of value for that. Last but not least, I like to play 2 copies of Metal Tyrannomon. One of the things I realized that this deck is really good at is control, but one of the things it lacks was offensive and try to win the game faster. A lot of the games were very grindy. If you guys seen the gameplay video, you guys would understand, because it's very good at, like, you know, staying in a long haul game. But that's why I included this particular card, because of its inheritable. All turns when this Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon by battle, you trash the top security stack, so it's giving you a lot of return for getting into that 4-cost Digivolve anyways. When Digivolving or on play, for each green or black Tamer you have, you suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, and then one of their Digimon cannot unsuspend, specifically on the unsuspend phase, which helps out a lot to, you know, give a lot of control to the deck overall. That's it for level 5s. Let's talk about our level 6s. Definitely need the 4 copies of HerculesKabuterimon from BT15. This brand new boss insect Digimon of the deck does a lot of things just for 4 costs to Digivolve, because start of main phase and when Digivolving, you suspend one of your opponent's Digimon and you get to choose one Digimon that gains piercing for the turn. Afterwards, it has that same effect throughout the entire line. All turns when this Digimon suspended, it's not affected by your opponent's Digimon's effect. Having a huge body, swing over things, pierce, you definitely need to do damage all at the same time to make sure you can secure your win condition and control the board at the same time. Is really reminiscent on how the whole HerculesKabuterimon worked all the way back in BT4 as well in that particular format. And yeah, definitely nice to see some similarities in the similar playstyle with updated, modern, better effects together. Then there's also 2 copies of HerculesKabuterimon X Antibody. It digivolves for 1 on top of HerculesKabuterimon. It has security attack +1, and it has that when digivolving effect to bottom deck your opponent's Digimon that's suspended. And the main combo is that you sometimes want to be, you know, digivolving into this. So you've gained piercing from your HerculesKabuterimon prior, you make your attack as well. So yeah, so then you can pierce for 2 checks and bottom deck the opponent's suspended Digimon to clear boards very effectively. Some level 6 spice I'm actually playing, I'm playing 1 copy of AVAULT Ace, which I find kind of particularly useful in some certain matchups. It is another extra hand counter that your opponents wouldn't sometimes expect, but it can also suspend down your opponent's Digimon and prevent them from unsuspending as well for 1 whole turn, which is really good. And it also has that on deletion effect to delete your opponent's suspended Digimon, but it does have that Ace Overflow -4. But yeah, definitely clutch card that comes in surprises sometimes too. As for level 7s, since this is a green-based deck, it definitely makes sense to play Quartzmon. You guys can juggle between 1 to 2 copies against certain matchups. It's really good. Quartzmon is just really powerful with its all-suspending effect. Trashing security all at the same time as well is incredibly strong. Yeah, you can definitely run a second copy, but I reserved an extra copy here for Omnimon Merciful Mode. And yes, particularly this is really good against Apocalypse before the ban list, which is definitely a really good counter. But I I generally feel that this card is also really good, even post-ban list, just because you can pop your opponent's stuff for every mega you have. You're able to trash their security, and this Omnimon Merciful mode only lasts for 1 turn anyways, but usually when you go revert back to your level 6, which is going to be your HerculesKabuterimon, which you want to, so you can resume using its effects all over again, which is actually very beneficial. And it does cost 6 to Digivolve, but yeah, in certain matchups and certain situations, it definitely comes in clutch for sure. That's it for level 7s. Let's talk about our Tamers. 3 copies of Izzy. It is your main memory Tamer of the deck, but it also has the secondary effect of opponent's turn. When an opponent's Digimon attacks, you get to spend this Tamer to redirect the attack to one of your suspended Insectoid Digimon. That's really good because then when you have multiple copies of Izzy on the board, you can redirect multiple attacks, and it's basically making your big bugs pseudo blockers as well. And again, disrupting the opponents, not letting them sort of, finish the game. You have a very good defensive strategy as well all at the same time. And built in with the Digimon effect protection alongside with your HerculesKabuterimon. Really, really good combinations, which makes it difficult to out the board sometimes. That's it for Tamers. Let's talk about options. 4 copies of Agility Training. Again, a really important staple just to have in most decks. Searching pieces, Digivolving for reduced cost. Again, just really, really good. And I'm also running 3 copies of Green Memory Boost for the same reason. Searching, finding pieces, really crucial. And yeah, gaining extra 2 memory for extra plays is always fantastic. Then for the other specified option right here with Tentomon's signature move, I'm running 2 copies of Super Shocker. Some of you guys can run up to 3 copies of this. Totally up to you, but it's just a really good card for 2 costs. You suspend a level 6 or lower Digimon, whether yours or your opponent's. Ideally, it's going to be your opponent's. And then one of your own Digimon gets extra 3000 DP for the turn. Essentially what Tentomon does. But it gives you another layer of that. So then you can sort of control more, swing over things if you wish. And with a security bomb effect, you get to activate its main effect and then add it back to your hand, which comes in clutch because you can stop attacks potentially, stop for lethal plays against your opponent when it comes on security, and then you still have a follow-up to use this card afterwards. So that you can always make sure you're constantly gaining DP, which is really important because it lasts your opponent's turn, so that you can set up your defensive wall for redirects too. Last but not least, I'm playing 1 copy of X Antibody Protoform just because if we ever do want to climb into a HerculesKabuteri X, we can, without having HerculesKabuteri, we can at least just, skip that, jump into this, and still get the full effect of being able to bottom deck their suspended Digimon. You guys can play regular X Antibody for this as well, totally up to you guys. This is just a flex spot, totally optional as a card that's been working out for my playtesting so far. Tech choices and other cards I've considered when I was building this deck. We also have the Kokuomon from BT1. For 1 cost, it gives you security attack +1 as long as the Digimon's level 6 or higher. You do climb onto your HerculesKabuteri. Having that extra security +1 helps you give that extra damage overall, but sometimes paying 1s kind of feels bad here. But yeah, totally up to you guys because it can definitely work. If you want to play more a Kokuomon line focus instead of Palmon, then I definitely recommend then including more of these as well, because you can play Kokuomon X Antibody, which helps you search with its on play and when Digivolving, which is really fantastic. Grabbing yourself Insectoids, which is what you need. And yeah, really useful card for sure. Another level 4 that's pretty good for this deck is actually Steamon. You guys can play between like 2 to 4 copies, especially if you're playing multiple copies or up to 4 copies of Mega Kabuterimon. Because with a security effect, you get to play it for free and you get to spend your opponent's Digimon, kind of like the same explanation I have with Super Shocker. But then afterwards, if they still continue to attack, you can actually blast Digivolve. There's a free level 4 body for you to blast Digivolve into a Mega Kabuteri. So it's, a lot of value out of that. And it can get really, really, really crazy with those combos too. Another really cool package that I play tested before and might, switch back and forth to is Akuamon and Akuamon X. Akuamon is just really good because it gives your opponent that mini ice wall. It gives you a bit more control as well to stop them from attacking, really limiting the opponent's plays during their turn, especially once you synergize with your top end stuff. Digivolving into Akua X helps you suspend stuff as you're going. Also helps you reduce Digivolution costs as you're going and redirect attacks as well at the same time, which is always really good with his when Digivolving effect. So yeah, this is some of the package you can kind of include. You can play like 4 Akuas and then like 2 Akua X's, and then the rest can be just Mega Kabuteri Aces. Totally up to you guys as well. And yeah, for control. Another one is since we're talking about green and aces, you know, other than just playing like Ibonwu ace and Mega Kabuterimon ace, you can actually play HerculesKabuterimon ace as well, because you're having DP buffs sometimes. Once you get that DP buffs, you know, HerculesKabuterimon with its Blast Digivolve, you can suspend a lot of your opponent's stuff, effectively everything that's 15k or lower, because you might be sometimes getting the extra 3k buff from Tentomon too. And it also gives you that offensive style that, you know, when you take down your opponent's Digimon, you trash your security stack, which is a very, very nice fitting generic level 6 card for this deck as well. If you guys want to play more X antibody stuff, Cool Boy is always a nice one to include, just so you can, like, you know, Digivolve and get more memory and draw cards and also search for X antibody stuff. But you guys can see that I'm not running a whole lot of that at the moment. If you are running like your Kua X and your Kua line like that, it can come in handy for sure. And of course, if you're playing that, makes sense to include X antibody as well. Helps you make those attacks and they can Digivolve into it. Same reason as why I run Protoform as well, if you guys want to go for this instead too. Other options are really neat. Poison Ivy here essentially is the same as what Palmon does. You spend a lot of your opponent's Digimon anyways, so by paying that 1 memory, you're effectively gaining the 2 back until the end of the opponent's turn also. Is just really nice, and Security Effect also does exactly the same thing. Very similar to Super Shocker, but like, you know, its whole synergy, which is really cool. Another really, really powerful spice is actually Dimension Scissors. For 3 cost main, one of your Digimon gains the following effects for the turn. When this Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon by battle, you unsuspend it. I've been arguing between maybe including at least 1 or 2 copies of this, because then if your opponent has a wide board, you can just wipe out their entire board and take, you know, swing over all their stuff, pierce, and then you can just win very, very quickly from that. I would actually argue try to put this in somehow. Yeah, really, really good card that I've been liking a lot too. Last but not least, HBD for, you know, any other green based decks, always trying to Digivolve and Turbo Digivolve a little bit quicker. But the only reason why I didn't include this is because HerculesKabuterimon is not really like a wide base deck, unlike Bloom Lord and some other like Palmon and stuff like that with the vegetation stuff. So you're not really having extra bodies usually to suspend it down to help you Digivolve into your big stack, because you're always just kind of playing a linear strategy going straight up. And you don't want to suspend your own guy as you're going up that line anyways, because you want to be able to attack. And being able to attack is really important. That's why I end up taking this out when I did initially play it as well. Alright, combos on how to play the all-new Tentomon and HerculesKabuterimon deck right here. Starting with your hand with mulligans, what cards you really want to be seeing is of course your rookies that you can Digivolve into. Ideally, it's going to be either your Palmon or Tentomon. Now, when it comes to the early game plan as well, you just want to see multiple searching cards. Green Memory Boost, Agility Training, you know, when you have multiple of them, really, really great. Just play the memory gauge sort of game and give your opponent as little to work with as possible. If you have the opportunity to play Izzy, go ahead and go for it as well. Paying the 4 memory is totally fine, because it's going to pay you off completely for the rest of the game, because it is your memory setter and you do want to establish it, because you want to have that 3 memory to get into your combos. So of course you're going to be Digivolving into this. Let's just say either of these guys. You don't really want to be Digivolving into your level 4s in the raising area, because you actually want to save it and utilize their start of main phase effects for the combos later on, which is why in the early stages you're really just trying to play chicken a little bit and save as much resources as possible if you can. If you can't and you don't have a choice, then unfortunately you sometimes just have to go ahead and Digivolve through your stack that way, which is not the end of the world, which I'll show you guys what happens if you don't. But let's just say you move up with Tentomon, you really want to wait for your opponent to have Digimon on the board to really have you to gain the maximum value of the effects. That's really what this deck is really all about. And then eventually you would just Digivolve into your Kabuteri. If not, it will be your Stingmon, whichever. They really serve the same purpose. Sometimes in the early stages of the game, you have opponents Digimon that can swing over. That's when you would swing over with with Kabuterimon here itself. Because it's suspended, it probably gained 3k from the effect as well. And then you sit here with an 8k body, and your opponent has to try to answer it. If they come up from raising and try to attack into it, or if they can go over 8k, that's when you blast Digivolve into Mega Kabuterimon Ace. Or if they disrespect the Ace and try to go for security, you still blast Digivolve in this, redirect the attack, and control the early stages just like that. But most cases, I find myself just Digivolving up this entire stack once you get into your Mega Kabuteri, the other one for EX1. And depending on how much memory there is, if you pass a memory gauge to your opponent's side already, that's when you can use the end of turn of Multimon to try to attempt to attack into your opponent's Digimon. And then when you're attacking, then you can Digivolve into HerculesKabuteri for even more memory, and then you get to suspend one of the Digimon, gain piercing, and once you take out their opponent's Digimon, you get to gain 1, 2, 3 memory back essentially. So passing them as a little bit as possible. So therefore, you kind of need to do your math a little bit before you go for the full line of combo plays. Really important when it comes to that. But that's the whole reason why you have the green memory boost in agility training and Izzy, so they can get into these combos with far more memory efficiency overall. Afterwards, once HerculesKabuterimon is suspended like this on the board, they can't do anything about it because it has extra 3k with Tentomon if you went into it earlier. It's a 15k body that they're gonna have to try to deal with, and it's unaffected by Digimon effects. So ideally, other than options, that's the only way that can kind of get rid of it. And if the deck built-inly doesn't have any options that can deal with it immediately, it's just gonna be really hard for the opponent. They can try to attack into your security instead of attacking your body, but as long as you have Izzy, suspend it, redirect the attack back to you. And this is when the situation comes in, because at the start of your main phase, you spend down your opponent's Digimon again, which makes it hard for them. And then you pierce and then do damage as well at the same time. And if you really, really need to, or sometimes at the start of main phase, you give it suspend, pierce as well. Digivolve into HerculesKabuteri. Bottom deck their suspended Digimon. Swing over another suspended Digimon that they may have or something. And then you get to pierce for 2 checks as well and gain a bunch of memory back, just like that. Very one-dimensional with his 1-stack build, which is really great. And that's one of the reason why sometimes I do like having the Metal Tyrannomon here, so you can Digivolve into it, suspend the opponent's Digimon as well. But keep in mind, you don't really get to utilize the end of turn, so make sure you have the agility training and green memory boost, you know, so it's still your turn. And then once you go into HerculesKabuteri, now you can use the end of turn Multimon, suspend something down with Hercules, when Digivolving, and a swing over it just like that. Trash the opponent's security by taking out their Digimon and gain 1, 2 memory as well for that. Same exact reason why I like to play Palmon, because eventually, you know, once you establish your first stack, you're going to be building your second stack. If your opponent plays out a Digimon, you know, at the start of your main phase, again, once you push it out, you use Palmon to give that Digimon lose 2 memory, and then you use HerculesKabuterimon starter main to suspend it down, and then you instantly just gain 2 memory because of that. And then gaining that much value, then you can continue to build into your second stack, Digivolve into Stingmon for 1, Digivolve into Mega Kabuterimon for 2, because Palmon is going to reduce the cost by 1 if you have Izzy on the board. And then you repeat the same combo, go into your second HerculesKabuteri, control the game, control the board, swing as much as you can, and in between when you have chances, that's when you blast Digivolve into Mega Kabuterimon. Keep in mind the extra 3k is also lasting to your end opponent's turn. And this is the reason why sometimes you want to play utility cards such as Super Shocker, so you can suspend more of your opponent's Digimon as well at the same time, and even like go for Ebomwu Ace on top, again, to counter more. And if you see fit in the situation, that's when you go into your other level 6s right here if you need to as well. Very, very simple. Once again, very linear strategy. Other toolbox cards like Kuwagomon right here. When you suspend something down, you get to stop your opponent's card from unsuspending for the 1 whole turn essentially. So really good with his on play. Otherwise, when you Digivolve it, does the same thing as well exactly. And yeah, you basically keep attacking their Digimon. If they don't have Digimon, just attack their security, attack their Digimon as much as possible if you're able to, and then you win game that way just by controlling the board as much as possible. If you guys want to see how crazy control that the HerculesKabuterimon deck is in action, be sure to watch this gameplay video right here, right now. We were able to make a huge comeback from 0 security essentially and win the game. It was grindy, but it was insanely cool. So definitely check it out. If you guys enjoy the playmat that I've been using today and you guys are green fans, definitely check out the AVAULT store and grab your very own copy as soon as you can before they run out. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you in the next video. And it's AVAULT signing